bestie, let my bestie. The bestie, la bestie, fire friend.
I say, see bestie wanting to happy. Fire friend, let me. They won't step on my blessing, but God get it breaking, yeah. They won't call it my blessing, but God get it breaking, yeah.
Friendship, see friendship. Can't see Papa T friendship. And I want no bad for friendship. And I want no wedding Wangolo.
It's 6:39. In the next couple of 5 minutes, His Excellency President George Mannen Weah will be done with delivering a State of Nation address, which he started at 4 p.m. Yeah, 4 p.m. he started delivering his State of Nation address. It's coming up to 20 minutes, pushing up to 7 o'clock. This is Punch TV. This is the program Trending Issues. We are back this afternoon. As you say, we're pushing on to the evening hours. It's after 6 o'clock. My name is Vanny Dix. Very shortly, we will open the phone lines to get your views on what you make of the State of Nation address that is expected to be ended in moments from now. Also, we are hoping to link up with a few persons to weigh in on what was delivered or what has been delivered so far, as President Weah is yet to conclude with his statement. But I'm very sure in the next couple of minutes, President George Weah will be done with delivering his State of Nation address. So far, I am hoping that beginning this evening up to tomorrow, we can have enough of time to delve deep into the statement that is being delivered by President George Weah on today. But basically, some of the few things that have been captured from the address that is being delivered today. One, let us establish the fact that the president's statement that is being released on today is going to capture a number of things, ranging from what constitutes the achievement of his administration, what he believes constitute his achievement, is also going to constitute what they would like to achieve, what they are working towards achieving in the next couple of months ahead of the October elections, and what might even enter into 2024. But basically, a few things that I captured so far from his State of Nation address is when he talked about his government is striving enough to ensure that civil servants who are below the minimum wage are brought up on par with others who are taking the minimum wage of 150 United States dollars. My concern here is that when President Weah took office, during his inaugural address at the Samuel Kayando Sports Complex, President Weah did promise the Liberian people that they would have earned a minimum, not minimum wage, but a living wage, I should say. Now, there is a big distinction between what constitutes minimum wage and a living wage. So you have a minimum wage of 150 Liberian US dollars that people are supposed to make. But when President Weah took office, he said his government would have ensured that Liberians earn a living wage. Now, a minimum wage is what has been set by the Liberian government, which is $150. But a living wage means he promised the Liberian people that his government was going to pay people. Let me be simplistic. Let me simplify this. When President Weah took office, he said, "Man, government will pay people money that they're able to survive on in this country." That is the meaning of a living wage. Meaning, they had done all of their analysis in the background, and realized that there was a threshold that you needed to pay people in order to survive in an economy like ours. Let me go back on that. A minimum wage is quite different from a living wage. President Weah promised the Liberian people that they would have earned money that would have made it possible for them to survive in an economy like ours. Meaning, his party, the CDC, did a survey to know that perhaps, okay, in Liberia, for a person to survive, it means that both in the public and private sector, that person maybe has to be earning around 800 to 900 United States dollars. Meaning, you did your survey to know that monthly this man will be maybe exhausting like 2 to 3 bags of rice in 2 to 3 months, or a month time he exhausts 2 bags of the 25 kg rice. You did your survey to know that this man perhaps he's going to be spending around $100 on his transportation or $200 on transportation in a month time. You did your survey and say the minimum family household is around maybe 5 to 6 person in a household. So you need to pay people not less than this. So President Weah had promised the Liberian people a living wage, meaning my government will pay you something you can live on. So the question now is, 5 years down the line, has President Weah's government been able to pay the Liberian people a minimum wage? Has those in the public sector as well as in the private sector been able to earn a minimum wage? We can say absolutely that has not been the case. Imagine someone earning $150 in Liberia monthly. What can that do for you? For some people to go to work at various government ministries and even in the private sector monthly, you're spending sometimes not less than $200 or $250. So if a person has to be paid something considerable within a society like ours, it will require that person being paid a minimum wage, meaning something that can afford a person to pay their way to go to work, something that can afford that person to feed his or her family within the space of 1 month time. So on the issue of minimum wage and living wage, President Weah has failed the Liberian people in that aspect. Liberians have not been earning a living wage under the CDC-led government. A living wage means CDC promised the Liberian people that you will be paid this money that you can survive on in a month time. In a month time. And he did agree to the fact that many persons over the last 5 years have been earning below $150 US. I don't even want to agree with that 15,000 figure that the president is highlighting. So that's the first one. The CDC-led government has not been able to live up to the commitment that was made by President Weah at the stadium that Liberians would have earned a minimum wage under his government. President Weah and his cabinet officials cannot survive on $150 in a month time in this country. It is very impossible for anybody to survive on $150 in this kind of economy. So this is why President Weah knew that from the inception of his government, it is impossible for you to have someone surviving on $150. So he promised the Liberian people, okay, we're going to pay you a minimum wage. We're going to pay you something you can survive on. 5 to 6 years moving, the CDC-led government has not been able to live up to that commitment. The president also, another issue that he talks about was when he talked about the issue with ensuring that civil servants have access to loans from banking institutions. Brothers and sisters, those that are following this platform, it is, in my view, a gross disregard for the president to say that his government has been enabling the private sector to secure loan from banking institutions. Here is the case. From both civil servants that are working in the government to Liberians in the private sector that are striving in the SMEs, which is the small medium enterprise. over the last 5 to 6 years have been strangulated, have been facing serious constraint in accessing finance from banking institutions. Why is it so? Because most of the people that access bank, GT Bank, UBA, and other people who give loans to are people who they know you are well off and can repay your loan. You can service your loan. Over the last 5 to 6 years, Liberians have not only been spectators in their own country, but Liberians have been outside of the stadium. They are yet to secure a ticket to have access into the stadium. Brothers and sisters, there are ministers of government who go to banking institutions for loan. They find it very easy to have the loan as compared to someone in the civil service that is earning $150. And I know for sure that the banking institution, based on CBL regulation, they have a threshold of how much you should be making before you can access loan at banking institution. The bank is not going to give you a loan if you earn very minimal, because they know you are incapacitated to repay that loan. But for a minister that earns $2,000 to $3,000 a month, a lawmaker that earns around $7,000 to $12,000, $15,000 a month, it is most likely, and these are the people that are having access to the loan. All the LPA scheme that the president talked about, that they are extending LPA scheme. For those of you who don't know the LPA scheme, it is a program where, for example, Seti brothers that are into selling construction materials and other institutions that are selling maybe bricks and other stuff. They sign a government an agreement with either the government or banking institution and say you come and take upfront maybe zinc. You take upfront cement. You go and start building your house. Then gradually they start to reduce that money from your salary because you are with the banking institution. But let me tell you this. These are not things that are effective. These things are not effective. This, like I said, has been a total grandstanding by the president on today. The LPA scheme, LPA as well as banking institution, they will give loan, they will give things to people who they know your salary is current and your salary that you make is able to help you to repay the loan. So to say it in the public is a different thing from what is actually unfolding in the background. People go to banking institution. The first thing the bank wants to know, what is your salary? How current is it? Is your salary coming in monthly? And many civil servants have to go sometimes 3 to 4 months before they receive their salary. You think these are the people banking institution will give loan to when the president is saying that they have been empowering people in the private sector and as well as civil servants to have access to loan? No. So again, and it is troubling in a society like ours where not too many people will grab this statement today and do a total further analysis, going through the statement to decipher the truth from the lies. The issue of enabling the private sector to have access to loan, this is untrue. The issue of the LPA scheme, this is not effective. And like I'm saying, we will use our time this evening to dig deep into the statement that was delivered on today. And then on tomorrow, we'll be back and do a full analysis of the president's statement. Again, he also, there is something that the president did on today that many persons who are not knowledgeable about how the issue of diplomacy plays out may not understand what he did, which was a diplomatic blunder. Yes, indisputably, the U.S. remains Liberia's traditional partner. But when the president took onto the public stage and he says to the world that once you are not in alignment with the U.S., Liberia is not in alignment with you. Hey, And this is just one reason why the Chinese government did not build the overpass bridge. This is just one reason why the Indian government did not put down the Bali Island. Because Liberia have lack understanding on how to proceed diplomatically. You had the presence of the Chinese there, and you made a statement that as long as you're not on par with the US, Liberia is also not going to be on par with you. Also, I knew that President Weah on today regarding the census report would have said this was a success. This is insincerity coming from the level of the presidency. How can a census that has been criticized, being very ineffective, many of us were not counted. Many people have called on radio that they were not counted all through the process. And the president has said this was a success. We knew very well that he would have said that. The president talked about increasing access to lending private institutions. Do you know how many private institutions, how many Liberians are struggling daily to have access to loans at various banking institutions? He talked about his government constructing some 1,375 kilometers of road. Some of the statements that were proffered on today by the president, like I'm saying, we will need to have time today to go through the statement. Many of these things are going to turn out to be lies, obviously. Many of these things are going to turn out to be lies. Reason is because even the legislature to whom the president went on today to deliver his State of Nation address, these are not people that go beyond the statement that was delivered to do their independent investigation. Like we saw the report that was released by NAMOD, indicating that most of the president's project have not been implemented. Many of them have not even commenced. So again, like I'm saying, the LACC, I knew that President Weah would have talked about increasing support to the LACC. I knew also that President Weah would have talked about every year when the president speaks, this issue of his visit at the Paris Peace Forum, the climate situation will come up. Every year when the president speaks, this issue of the COVID impactation on the Liberian economy. Every year when the president speaks, I want Liberians to be cognizant about it. There are issues that keep being repetitious in the president's State of the Nation address. They keep coming up. So sometimes it tells you that the president have got limited things to say regarding his achievement. I'm hoping that we can have Diamond on. I'm hoping that we can connect with Stephen again to do a post State of Nation analysis. But again, like I'm saying, on tomorrow is when we're going to really go deep into the statement that was released today. But I just want to give some kind of warm-up to let Liberians know that on today, regarding what the president said about minimum wage, President Weah did not talk about minimum wage while he was campaigning. What he did commit himself to was to ensure that Liberians earn a living wage, which I have told you there is a distinction between minimum wage and living wage. That the CDC-led government has fell flat on its belly. It did not meet up with ensuring that Liberians earn minimum wage. So all of the issues regarding the bills that were being brought forth on today and other situations, we will dig deep into those things on tomorrow. He talked about his government increasing capital expenditure from 154 million to 143. I knew that President Weah would have also brought about what they're doing regarding CLSG. He talked about so basically, he talks about his government also promoting the issue of democracy. He talks about people not being in prison. Yes, President Weah may boast about people not being prison, people not being behind bars. But how do you justify under your administration the rampant mysterious death that have been occurring all across the country? How do you justify these things? So again, the domestic issues are the issues that President Weah is going to be judged by, like I indicated earlier. Issues surrounding employment, the jobs issues surrounding inflation, the high prices of basic commodities, bread that people were purchasing for 30 to 40 Liberian dollars. These things are being sold for around 50 to 60 Liberian dollars. The things that people have to face daily are the things that the CDC-led government is going to be measured by as we edge onto the 2023 election. So again, we're going to open the phone lines and get your view on these things. 775-8510-17. I also want to see if we can have Archie Sana on the line to have him weigh in on some of what the president said on today. Mulbach Kesely also from the ANC. We are hoping to have him join us on the platform as well to have him weigh in on what was said on today by His Excellency President George Manneh Weah. 775-8510-17 is the number that you could call and be a part of the discussion. This is Punch TV. This is the program Trending Issues. My name is Vanny Dix. We have been here with you since 2 o'clock, trying to bring you the best that we can offer regarding television presentation. Again, he talks about the issue with GSC report. All of these things are just, for me, these are grandstanding by President Weah. GSC report, how effective has the president been? What has been the political will on the part of President Weah in ensuring? So again, we hoping to have Diamond. We're hoping to have Mulbach Kesely from the ANC join us. But again, if you are following the broadcast, 775-8510-17 is the number that you can call to be a part of the program. This is Trending Issue. President Weah on today spoke to the nation. What do you make of the speech that was delivered on today by His Excellency President George Manneh Weah? Let me see if we can have Mulbach Kesely. On our Facebook page, we have that's Regner Divine Johnson says, I was so disappointed in the actions of some Liberians who claim they are the one to educate the unprivileged ones. Instead, they are the ones to be educated by the unprivileged. How can lawmakers sit in there clapping for something that doesn't make sense? That was from one of the contributors on our Facebook page. He said, he continued to say, President Weah's speech on today clarified his total failure as president and head of government. Liberians need to open their eyes to retire him come October this year. We're hoping that we can have some of your comments coming in this evening, I beg your pardon, on the program. This is Trending Issue. We are hoping to have Mulbach Kesely on the platform as well. Hoping to have, we'll run for this very brief break, and then when we come back, we can have your say on the program.
If you not want betrayal, find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. If you not want betrayal, find a friend like me.
Bombe oh, find a friend like me. Bombe jene o, fire free let me. Fire free let me. Fire free let me.
Hey, si bestie, the bestie na sweet like my bestie. The bestie da la bestie. Fire free let me.
I say, si bestie, bestie wanting to wealthy. Fire free let me. I hear them say they want me go. I say
Some of them say they want me go.
I say
Some French girl na Some French girl na Some French girl na French girl na Hey, si bestie, the bestie na sweet like my bestie. The bestie da la bestie. Fire free let me.
I say, si bestie wanting to wealthy. Fire free let me. Okoro, 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 okoro. They won't step on my blessing, but God get it breaking, yeah. Okoro, they won't call it my blessing, but God get it breaking, yeah. Okoro,
French, see French, can't see Papa T French, and I want no back for French. Wangolo, 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 wango for bestie, wango for daddy,
I
wangolo.
hear them say they want me go. I say I hear them say they want me go. I say
Some French na some French na some French na French na Hey, si bestie, the bestie na friend by my bestie. The bestie da la bestie. Fire free let me.
I say, si bestie wanting to wealthy, my lonely fire free let me.
DJ Young T.
You got money like Johnny. You funny. Beats.
Lump.
Beats.
Fire free let me. Fire free let me. If you not want betrayal, fire free let me. Fire free let me. Fire free let me. If you not want betrayal, fire free let me.
Bombe oh, fire free let me. Bombe jene oh, fire free let me. Fire free let me. Fire free let me.
Hey, si bestie, the bestie na sweet like my bestie. The bestie da la bestie. Fire free let me.
I say, si bestie wanting to wealthy. Fire free let me. I hear them say they want me go. I say
Some of them say they want me go.
I say
Some French girl na some French girl na bestie da la bestie. Find a friend like me.
I say, see bestie, wanting to weffy. Find a friend like me. Okoro, 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 okoro. They won't step on my blessing, but God get it breaking, yeah. Okoro. They won't call it my blessing, but God get it breaking, yeah. Okoro.
Frenchie, see Frenchie. Can't see Papa T Frenchie. And I want no bad for Frenchie. Wangolo, 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 wangolo. Wango for bestie, wango for daddy, wangolo.
I hear them say, they want me go, I say, I hear them say, they want me go, I say,
Some French Elena, some French Elena, some French Elena, French Elena, hey, see bestie, your bestie na friend by my bestie, your bestie da la bestie, find a friend like me.
I say, see bestie, wanting to weffy, want him along me, find a friend like me.
DJ Young T.
You got money left, Johnny.
Lump.
Find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. If you not want betrayal, find a friend like me. Find a friend like me.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Very shortly, we will have Mobile Kesari on the screen for you. He's the Secretary General of the ANC National Youth Congress. We will be having him very shortly to get his take on the State of Nation address that was delivered some moment ago. On tomorrow, we will have, hopefully, we are hoping to have a panel discussion surrounding the President's State of Nation address that was delivered on today. This is the program Trending Issues. I am very much sure that you follow some of the points that I raised so far that we have been able to spotlight on what President Weah did say on today when he talks about his government increasing or empowering the private sector to have access to loans. He talks about his government also empowering civil servants as well to have access to the LPA scheme and other loan program. He talks about the issue of his government having stabilized the economy, having stabilized the rate, even though we've seen fluctuation in the rate from 159. Now we are somewhere around 160 to 162. Some areas 160, 161, 162. Like I indicated, this government has not been able to live up to its commitment of lifting Liberians out of poverty. This government had promised the Liberian people that it would have improved their livelihood. So if you were, like I said, the economy does not need a spokesman. The economy speaks for itself. The livelihood of the people is the reflection of what any economy is. So here is the thing. When people want to talk about Weah has constructed roads, he has constructed this and that, Liberians have always emphasized the need about opportunities. Our society is a place that is entrenched backward in terms of poverty. So how then do you make intervention in such a society? It is for you to create an enabling environment, create opportunities. where people can have access to job. When people are running to places like the US and other Western countries, they don't go there to see skyscrapers. What do they run there for? For opportunities. This is why the US is referred to as globally the land of opportunity. So Liberians don't go to the US. Yeah, you can put it on. Liberians don't go to the US to go and see skyscrapers. They go there to seek opportunities. So when we are saying the CDC-led government has not lived up to its mandate, is because the issue of opportunities have not been created by the CDC-led government. Opportunity is the surest way by which you take people out of poverty. Let me now connect with our Mulba Cassidy. Mulba, good evening, and thank you so very kindly for joining us on the platform.
Good evening, Vanning. Good evening to our fellow Liberians back home. It's a pleasure to be on your show this evening.
Good evening again, Mulba.
Good evening, Vanning. Can you hear me? It's a pleasure to be on your show this evening.
Did you get to follow?
Good evening, Vanning. Can you hear me?
I'm getting you now. Did you get to follow the State of Nation address?
Yes, I followed the State of the Nation. Yes, I followed the by President George Weah, and it was quite unusually long. It was quite, unusually long. At some point, I had to go out and come back. That's strange that the president took so long to deliver that the president address. And I guess most of the Liberian citizens they have lost interest in the delivery of the State of the Nation. I think what the president failed to realize is that they have lost interest. The duration of the speech does not really determine that he has done a very good job as president of the Republic of Nigeria. What the president failed to if you've done so well, you should provide the duration of the speech. Several names determined through what you've done as a president. But because information is not readily available, he had to take up the entire day. Is not readily available. Basically, had to take citing everything that's happened in Nigeria since he became president, even things that do not really come to be mentioned in the State of the Nation address. But overall, it was not as informative as we expected, even though it was extremely long. Like for example, the president was still guessing, but overall, it was not he has presented to the national legislature when he said even though it was that his government has presented about 200 legislations that have been passed. That was an estimate, not an exact figure. That he will deliver the State of the Nation address and be giving us estimates. And most of the things he talked about are things that will happen in the future. You have less than a year to be president of the country. And up to now, you still practically have over 50% of everything you're saying.
But is it about the number?
Now, if you remember, Vani, the recent NAMO report clearly states that our president performs dismally when it comes to fulfilling his promises, insofar as he has just been able to perform 8% of the promises he made to our people since he became president. So, the whole speech on the overall was a total waste of time. The president did not capture actually what Liberians wanted to hear. Are you there, Fanny? Can you hear me?
Bombe oh, fire friend let me. Bombe jene oh, fire friend let me.
Are you there? Moba?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Uh,
Can you hear me?
I'm hoping we can have Moba.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. We were faced with a technical challenge, but it's good having you back.
Okay, thank you. So, I mean, I don't know what you
were in flight.
Yes. So okay, what I was saying, I mean, the president took up the entire day practically. Yes. So what I was saying, I mean, the president took things that were very irrelevant in terms of the opportunity he had to speak to the Liberian people. That was a speech primarily meant to capture the very overriding things and the most important things that happened. That was a speech and those were things we expected him to capture in under an hour. And look, if he had learned from his predecessor when President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf spoke at this very stage in her first government, she said, look, because of time, she will lead the legislature with a detailed and a more broader speech covering everything she's done, but she would deliver something very minimal so that the audience, the Liberian people, could get the crux of the matter and the reason for which she was fulfilling her constitutional duties. And Mr. Weah failed to do that. And even though it was extremely long, but the speech did not again give us exact figures. The speech was again making a lot of promises. And we know Mr. Weah's record are very, very terrible in terms of fulfilling promises. So he made a lot of promises again that he would not fulfill. Some promises he's been making since he became president. He has not been able to fulfill. And he went there and repeated most of those promises again. I mean, it's just weird that the president took up our time and did not really address the issues that matter to the people. And another thing, Mr. Weah said while he was coming close to his closing is that he's a peaceful man and that he believes in the rule of law. Look, Mr. Weah's performance clearly contrasts most of the things he said. This president has overseen a police force that has no regard for the rule of law. This president has overseen a Ministry of Justice that does not go after people who commit crimes and ensure that they face justice. This president is on record for witch hunting opposition folks for simply speaking out. So look, he presented a clear contradiction of what governance has been for the Liberian people versus what he said, what he presented to us today. He talked about the government raising over $700 million, a total of $740 million in revenue collection, for example, in the last year. And then the government spent $774 million. So the government actually spent over $34 million beyond what she raised. Unfortunately, we do not see an impact of that $740 million in the economy. How can you raise $740 million and spend in the Liberian economy, and such a large number of people cannot even afford daily bread? I mean, so look, Vani, in all essence, the speech did not deliver what we expected today, and Mr. Weah performed very, very dismally. I'm hoping that this is his last speech, and he will never have the opportunity again to deliver such a speech, because we go to the elections and he'll be beaten. Are you there? Seems like I'm talking to myself much of the time. Hello, Vani?
We'll have to rearrange this for tomorrow, and I'm hoping that we can have you on. We are experiencing a technical challenge for which we have to bring down the show, and then hopefully tomorrow we can rearrange to have you on. But you and I, hopefully we can have a chat via Messenger today, and then we'll look at some of those issues to talk on tomorrow. Please.
Okay. So thank you. I'll be available. Thank you. Okay. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Okay.
Fire friend, let me. Fire friend, let me.
Hey, see bestie. The bestie not sweet like my bestie. The bestie la bestie. Fire friend, let me.
I say, see bestie, bestie, 110 to every.